Imagine temptation not as a shout but as a soft whisper that resonates deep within your mind, a force as ancient as the creation of the world itself. If I were Satan or one of those lurking forces of darkness, I wouldn't need to push you off your path. No, my approach would be far more delicate, more refined. I would use what's already inside you, that desire that pulses, that yearning you struggle to control. At first, it might seem harmless, but over time, I would nurture it, turning it into something insatiable, something you can no longer ignore. It all begins with what you want, not what you truly need, but what your heart craves in the deepest silence. It could be success, validation, power, or pleasure. We all have a weak spot, something we desire above all else, and I would make it seem like that desire is within reach, so close you could almost touch it. I'd offer you the easy way, the quick solution, but the price? The price would be invisible at first, because the true nature of temptation isn't about what you see on the surface, it's about what you don't realize you're sacrificing until it's too late. The beauty of temptation is that it doesn't scream, it's subtle. A shortcut here, a small transgression there. I would place opportunities in front of you, choices that would seem harmless, even logical. You'd start to justify your actions. Just this once, it's no big deal, I deserve this. With every step, you'd feel like you're in control, thinking you can stop whenever you want. And that's what makes temptation so effective. You don't even realize you're being led. But I would be the one moving the pieces. Every little, seemingly harmless choice would be calculated, designed to pull you deeper. The quick success I offer, the immediate validation I hand you, would feel like everything you've always wanted. But what you wouldn't see, what you'd only realize when you're already too far in, is that all of this is costing you something much greater. Your purpose, your future. You wouldn't notice it at first. How could you? Temptation wraps around you gently, like a wave that slowly creeps up on the shore. First, a small lie to protect your ego. Then, a moral concession to get what you want. It all seems justifiable. And while you're caught up in the moment, I would be there, whispering in your mind, telling you that there are no real consequences. I'd make you believe that these small choices don't matter, that the momentary pleasure, the effortless success is the true prize. I'd make you think that the now is all that counts. And when the consequences finally start to show, when the cracks begin to form in your character, in your relationships, in your dreams, I would be there, saying it's too late to turn back. Guilt would start to weigh on you, regret would surround you, and I'd whisper, look, you've gone too far now to go back. And then, temptation would no longer be a choice. It would become a need. You'd cling to it to fill the void that started to grow inside of you. Because the truth is, temptation is never just about the pleasure or success it promises. It's about what you lose along the way. And the more you give in, the further you drift from what truly matters. Temptation doesn't destroy you all at once. It consumes you slowly, until one day you look back and barely recognize the person you used to be. And I would be there, quietly laughing, because the greatest trick of temptation is making you believe you were in control all along. When in reality, with each step, you were moving further away from your true purpose, further from who you could have been. And when you finally realize it, I'll be waiting, ready to offer you more, because temptation is insatiable. And you'll always want more, until all that's left is the emptiness I helped create. Now imagine this. Temptation doesn't end with just one indulgence. No, it's a cycle, a spiral that wraps tighter with each step you take. If I were Satan, I wouldn't stop at offering you that first taste of what you desire. I would make sure that once you've had it, it's never enough. That fleeting moment of satisfaction would fade quickly, leaving you craving more, yearning for something deeper, stronger, more consuming. You see, that's the true genius of temptation. It's not about the one moment where you give in. It's about how I can make you return to it, again and again. At first, you might think you're in control, that you can manage the temptation. You might tell yourself it's a one-time thing, that you'll get back on track tomorrow. What you don't realize is that every time you indulge, you're feeding a fire inside of you, one that I'm happy to fuel. I'd make sure that what you wanted most always seemed just out of reach. Every time you'd think you finally got it, I'd move the goalposts. That promotion you thought would bring you success, once you have it, it wouldn't be enough. You'd need more recognition, more power. That relationship you thought would bring you happiness, it would start to feel empty, and you'd seek something new, something more exciting. The pleasure you thought would satisfy, it would dull over time, and you'd need to push further to feel the same rush. And here's the trick. With each step, you'd sacrifice a little more of yourself. Your values, your morals, your relationships, they'd all start to erode piece by piece. But you wouldn't notice right away. I'd make sure that each sacrifice seemed small, justifiable, easy to overlook. You'd convince yourself that the end goal was worth it, that these little compromises wouldn't add up to anything significant. But I'd know better. I'd know that over time, those small sacrifices would leave you hollow. You'd start to feel it too. That emptiness inside, that gnawing feeling that something is missing. But instead of looking inward, instead of seeing how far you've strayed, I'd make sure you looked outward. I'd make sure you believed that the solution was just one more step ahead. Just one more achievement, one more indulgence, one more risk away. And so you'd keep chasing, running faster and faster toward a goal that keeps moving until you've lost sight of everything else. And that's when I'd strike hardest, when you're deep in the spiral, when you've given so much that you can't see a way back. That's when I'd offer you more tempting choices, ones that seem to solve all your problems, but only tighten the chains around you. Perhaps I'd offer you a shortcut that seems too good to pass up, a way to erase the mistakes you've made, to fix the mess you've gotten yourself into. But that shortcut would come with a price, one far steeper than you realize. Because that's the final step in temptation's game, making you believe that the only way forward is through me. That the only way to fill the void I helped create is by giving in completely. By abandoning what you once held dear, by crossing lines you swore you'd never cross. And by the time you've reached that point, you'll be so tangled in the web I've spun, so lost in the cycle of desire and regret, that you won't see any other option. But here's the truth. There is always another option. You just won't see it. Not while you're caught in the grip of temptation. I'll make sure of that. I'll make sure you believe that you've gone too far, that redemption, purpose, true fulfillment, they're all out of your reach now. And when you finally surrender, when you finally give in completely, it was your choice all along. That's the beauty of it, really. You'll believe you are always in control, that every step down this path was one you chose willingly. But in the end, it will have been me, guiding you every step of the way, leading you further and further from the life you were meant to live, from the person you were meant to be. And by the time you realize it, I'll be gone, and you'll be left with nothing but the consequences of the choices you thought were yours.